Hello everyone, welcome back to Let's Play Great Ace Attorney. This is V-Diffuser. In our last episode, poor Mr. Windibank got shot, and so too did Sholmes. So it's up to us to figure out what's going on. And apparently, Susato is being summoned back to her homeland. And it's time we leave Mr. Strongheart's office. What a day. Gina charged with murder, Susato-san about to leave. Come, Mr. Naruhodo. Iris, we must make haste. But Susie, you're leaving for Japan tomorrow morning, aren't you? Don't you have packing and things to do? As Mr. Harder's judicial assistant, my personal circumstances are of no consequence. My sole purpose remains to help you in whatever way I can. Thank you, Miss Susato. That's a very pensive look. If I'm honest, this has completely thrown me off. I'll just have to do what I can as a lawyer. Alright, prison we go. Hello, Gina. And you're gonna shoot us again, aren't you? Oh, you still have the grenade launcher Hilly and I made. I wish you wouldn't point it at me all the time, though. What are you here for? Ginny, I have a feeling it's because of us that you've ended up in trouble. So we were thinking we might be able to help you. Well, you can't. Sorry. You Ed, get lost. Don't be like that, Ginny. I know you didn't do it. You never shoot someone. I know you wouldn't. You think you know me? Pull the other one. Oh. You ain't got the first idea of the likes of me. I'm a thief. I pinch people's purses when they're walking down the street. That's how I get by. And if I saw me chance, I'd sneak into a pawn shop any day of the week. Just to see what I can lay my hands on. Get it? That's the kind of person I am. Ginny, I'll be in court tomorrow, they say. Same cuff came by before and said he'd be a lawyer for me, or the like. Said it was my right or something. But I told him to get stuffed. I don't need no lawyer. I don't need no one. She couldn't be staring at me any more obviously if she tried. Why are you being like this, Ginny? Ouch. That is one stern look Susato is giving Gina. I don't understand, Gina. Why did you send the public defender away? He'd want me to sign some papers, representation papers or something like that. It's all going to be rigged anyway, the whole trial. They'll pin it on me because I'm a kid. That's what grown-ups always do. Why do you think that? Because that's how it always been for me, growing up in the back slums. Me whole life. You do what grown-ups tell you, it'll get your mates dragged off by the coppers. Or wells. Or worse. I've had it happen to me before and all. Being sold out and nearly snaffled on the back of it. You can't trust no one. That's the point. As soon as you do, you're gone to grass. Dead. Gina, listen. If you like, in tomorrow's trial, I could forget it. Ginny, don't you trust Bruno? Nah, I don't. Look, I'll ask you nicely now. Just leave me alone. Will you tell us what happened, Gina? Last night at the pawnbroker's. There's nothing to tell. I figured it'd pay me, so I broke into the place and started going through the storeroom. But the old bloke walked in on me, and you know the rest. But why, Ginny? Why would you do that? Ain't it obvious? The place is full of stuff I could sell for a shilling or two. Diving ain't easy, you know. It's a lot of work. And half the time you don't even get nothing. Is that really why you broke into the place? What? Are you sure the true reason wasn't something else? Oh, give it a rest. What would be the point anyway, eh? Nothing I could say would make a blowing bit of difference. Please tell us, Ginny. We believe you, whatever it is. Believe me. Don't be deaf. You can't believe nothing. Everyone lies all the time. And you know what? When it comes to liars, I'm the biggest of the lot. I've told some unforgivable lies, I have. What do you mean by that? What unforgivable lies? What did you mean before, Gina, when you said you were the biggest liar of the lot? Why don't you tell us what these unforgivable lies you told are? Maybe we can help. Sorry. We're out of time. They're gonna want to question me now. Ginny, please. Oh yeah. I want to give you this. Something to remember me by. A photographic print of a really adorable cat. I found it in one of the pockets of this coat. Ain't no point in me having it. I wonder what a little photograph like that was doing in the pocket of that overcoat. Anyway, don't bother coming again. Goodbye. Oh, Ginny. Alrighty, what have we got? Look on the back of this print here. There's something written on it. 13 of them. One small box. Loan amount paid 10 shillings. Redemption deadline 13th of April. 9 p.m. This photographic print is a redemption ticket for an article that was deposited 2 days prior to the incident on the omnibus scene. A small box. How does it tell us much about it, does it? Perhaps it contains some valuable mementos? Can't help wondering. Presumably Mr. McGill never redeemed the article in question, since he still had the ticket. So isn't it possible that box is still present somewhere in the shop? Alrighty. Time to go to St. Sinner's Hospital and see how he's going. He's gone. Hurley! Oh! Mr. Sholmes is nowhere to be seen. No, that's strange. The nurse definitely said he was in the bed by the window, didn't she? I know what's probably happened. Hurley was being a big baby and the bullet wound wasn't that bad after all, so he's been sent home. I'm not so sure about that, baby or not. There's no question it was a fairly serious injury that Mr. Sholmes suffered. Oh dear. I do hope Mr. Sholmes will be alright. Hello, hello. What have we here? This ward is off limits. No visiting. So what are you doing in here, eh? Well, I'll have you know. We're Hurley's next of kin. Aye. Oh! We're begging your pardon then, ma'am. A little lady and a curious eastern pair. Great mystery solvers, a mysterious family, eh? That's how you see us. Sure. Where is he, Constable? Where's Hurley? I believe he's currently in the operating theatre, ma'am. Undergoing an extensive operation. Extensive? It has been several hours since he went in. Oh my. Has there been some kind of problem? Well, it doesn't appear to be working, you see. The anesthetic, that is. No. I've heard a report that the gentleman claims he may have had a bit too much to drink last night. Coffee, that is. Anyway, I think it would be fair to assume that you won't be back here for several hours yet. I see. Thank you, Constable. Oh, poor Hurley. Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, what is it, Miss Susato? I hope you won't think me selfish, but do you think we should perhaps go to visit Gina? I've just realized I won't have another opportunity to say farewell. Of course. Susato-san may not see Gina again before she has to leave. I wish I knew what Susato was thinking. Anyway, let's go back to the prison then. Gina, I wonder if you might hear me out. There's something I'd like to say. What? I'm sorry to say that I must reluctantly bid you farewell. Aye, farewell! Tomorrow I must begin my journey back home, to Japan. I fear we may never meet again. Oh, right. I've had the pleasure of meeting so many lovely people here in London. I have so many wonderful memories. And yet, as things stand now, it will be a glum parting indeed. Poor Iris is so miserable. Susie... Well, that ain't my business. Both Iris and Mr. Naruhodo believe you to be innocent, Gina. They've put their faith in you. But somehow, you can't find it in your heart to put your faith in them. Yeah, that's right, I can't. What of it? It grieves me greatly to have to say goodbye to my friends when they are so clearly unhappy. Because of you. What? It's my fault? Yes, so I have one final request, Gina, before our paths never cross again. Right here and now, I want you to show both of them that you don't deserve the faith they have invested in you. Only by doing that will you truly be as alone as you claim to be. Ooh, wow. What are you talking about? What do you expect me to do, eh? You've told us that everyone lies. So prove it by admitting one of your own untruths. What about what you said before, Ginny? You said something about unforgivable lies. You must tell Mr. Naruhodo and Iris the truth now. That is my last request before I leave. My last request as a judicial assistant. No, I can't... Whatever these lies are, they're obviously weighing very heavily on her mind. Gina, I could be wrong, but... Is it something to do with what happened 2 months ago? Something about that trial? The one in which Miss McGundle was acquitted. The case of that mysterious murder that took place inside the omnibus. You were called as a witness by the prosecution. Is that what this is about? Yeah, you're right. Because, in that trial, I lied. I lied like you wouldn't believe. All of that testimony she did, that was all complete bunk. Will you tell us about it now? Like you said, it all happened 2 months ago. The couple's got a hold of me and shoved me in the witness stand. And based on your testimony, McGilded was declared innocent. Yeah, well, the thing is, I lied about a whole bunch of stuff. I knew it. What sort of thing did you lie about? I was hiding under the seat that night. That was the truth. It was pitch black in that little cubbyhole. I couldn't see a thing. And then... I heard that loud thud, like someone falling on the floor. And that's when Mr. McGilded discovered you. Yeah. pulled me out from under the seat and sat me next to the dead man. There wasn't much light to see by when I looked at me hands. I had the cuff's blood all over him. I was so scared I couldn't even speak. You had his blood on your hands? In other words, it was Gina that the witnesses in the roof deck saw through the skylight. Then Mr. McGilded started asking you questions, I suppose. Who were you, and why were you hiding under the seat? Yeah, he did. Only, that's not all. What do you mean? Yeah, he threatened me. Threatened you how? He made me swear about what I'd seen and what I'd heard. And about what he was going to do after the Cove was found dead. He made me swear I wouldn't tell anyone about it. If I did that, he said he'd let me scupper before the coppers show up. Gina, you must tell me what he swore you to secrecy about. What you saw, what you heard, everything. You said Mr. McGilded made you swear not to tell anybody what you saw. But you were in the pitch-black compartment under the seat the whole time, weren't you? With Mr. McGilded sitting above your head, if I remember correctly. Yeah, that's true, but it was when I heard the thud of the Cove hitting the floor. I let out a little scream, see? Couldn't help it. McGilded heard it and dragged me out by my arm. That's when I saw it. It was on the floor next to the old geezer where it had been stabbed. A disc, all bright and shiny. You mean? Yeah, that's it. The one what the D took off me at Windybanks. So the music box disc was there, on the floor of the omnibus. Not for long, McGilded spotted it straight away, picked it up smartish and stuffed it in his inside pocket. So that disc was in the omnibus 2 months ago at the scene of Mr. Mason's murder. And the bog trotter told me I wasn't to mutter a word of it to no one. Because it was so dark on that seat in that cab, I was straining my ears the whole time. After a while, I heard the door and footsteps inside the cabin. Presumably that was Mr. McGilded getting on board. Nah, not only him. Oh, because I could definitely make out the footsteps of 2 people. In that case, it would have seemed likely that it was Mr. McGilded and the victim. Price fired Mason. In his testimony during the trial, Mr. McGilded claimed he slept during the carriage ride.
Well, whenever I'm in a carriage, I'm taken with a fierce tiredness, and I always succumb to it.
And your own testimony, Gina, supported his. All I could hear was the Irishman snoring. Yeah, that wasn't exactly true. Neither of them was asleep. I could hear him talking the whole time, in low voices. What? What were they talking about? Sorry, I don't know. The sound of the horses and the wheels was too loud. But that still tells us something. Mr. McGilded and the victim knew each other. So McGilded was lying, as suspected. I knew it wasn't going to take long before someone raised the alarm that the bloke had been killed. Yes, you were quite right. The other passengers on the roof deck noticed very quickly. So when the cab came to a stop, McGilded told me to hide under the back seat again. I climbed in and waited. The 2 cubs from up top ran to get the coppers, Mr. Fairplay and Mr. First. Right, and after they gone, McGilded asked the driver to do him a favor. A favor?
Now then, fella, what I need you to do is take this coat of mine and deposit it with a nearby pawnbroker. And for your troubles, let's see now. Hi, I'll give you 10 guineas.
A nearby pawnbroker? You mean on Baker Street? Yep, you got it. It was Windybanks. The coachee snapped up the money and ran off to pop his coat as fast as he could. So then there was no one left in the carriage. Mr. McGilded opened up the box under the seat and let me get out of there. The but not without conditions. I see. I knew there was something off about him. What were Mr. McGilded's conditions then? For letting you go free, I mean. Not telling a soul. Not for anything about what I saw and what I heard. And there was something else as well. There's more. Yeah, this is the most important thing, he said. I'm after sending the coachman on a errand for me, with some small change in his hand. Now then, did you hear what I asked of him? Did you see anything at all? You asked him to go pop your weasel, what? Aye. The fiend's taken me overcoat to deposit with a Pondroko hereabouts. And I want you lass to take the redemption ticket for it. You understand? What, you want me to have the ticket? That's right. I'll come fetch it from you later, sometime within the next 2 months. You're to hang on to it until then, is that clear? And whatever you do, don't lose it. Alright then. And in case I might happen to be delayed at all, you're to go to the pawn shop Windybank, so it is. And you're to extend the loan afore the 2 months is up. If you forget, the article will be forfeited and any old fiend could come along and buy it. Aye, but I ain't got that kind of brass. Here's £5. That should be enough. Do you understand each other, lass? Don't try anything funny now. If you go against me. Yeah, I get it. Good. And one more thing. In a few days from now, you'll be visited by the police, I've no doubt. The coppers? Aye. They'll come asking you to take the stand in court to testify as a witness. So let's just have a wee chat about that, shall we? What is it that you might say? And what is it that you won't? That is witness tampering. Friggin' Von Karma right there. After he'd gone over it all, I parked it. Got as far away from there as I could. He hid the pawnbroker's ticket in some bushes near the scene. I went to fetch it the next day once it got dark. So Mr. McGilded planned it, and coerced Gina into giving false testimony. I bet you're ready to string me up, eh? I lied in that big old courtroom. I told some corkers. Thing is, he said he would make it so we couldn't live in the East End no more. That's what he threatened me with. What a wicked man. He knew everything what went on in the back slums. He knew we had no one to look after us. And we was all just looking out for each other, getting by together. So you mean Mr. McGilded would have... In an heartbeat. He would have had a lot of us chased out of there if he'd wanted. And then where would we have gone, eh? Nowhere, that's where. So, I didn't have no choice. He blackmailed her. Thank you, Gina, for telling us everything. But, I'm furt now, eh? Go in a minute. You must be living. Well, you can make amends by doing me a simple favor. A favor? What? Sign the representation papers for tomorrow's trial. Hey! If you don't actually want me to represent you in court, you can rip it up later. But we need that paperwork or we can't investigate. The police won't let us. Investigate what? The scene of the incident last night. Mr. Sean was shot, you see. You what? Hurley's having a big operation right now, Ginny. Is it bad? Is he gonna be alright? Shums is gonna be alright, right? That's why I want to investigate, for Mr. Sholm's sake as much as anything. Right. So what you're saying is, if I sign that bit of paper, everyone's happy, is that it? Something like that. Miss Susato? Yes, of course. I have the representation papers here. I don't need no one to stick up for me, though. No lawyer or nothing. Poor Ginny. She seems so lonely. Gina's representation papers have been entered in the court record. Well, at least this should mean we can investigate the scene at Windibanks now. And perhaps we can come back to visit Ginny when you're done there. Alrighty. I feel like we finally cracked Gina. She's opened up to us at last. And now I have her representation papers. No one else knows what a responsibility that is. For now, it means Inspector Gregson can't stop us investigating at Windibanks. Although, something tells me he's not going to be happy about it. To be continued. Alrighty. We're still on a roll. We'll be going up until the court sequence, but... ooh boy, what a court sequence that's gonna be. That's definitely gonna be tomorrow's big thing. Here we are again at the scene of the crime. Now to thrust these representation papers in Gregson's face and see what he makes of them. Hello again, Inspector. Do you have a minute, please? What is it now? You should go home and get some rest. Here you are, Gregsy. Here are the representation papers. Your ladyship! Oh! I don't believe it. How the devil did you get that stubborn little ragabash to sign that? I salute you! That is good work, that is. I can see you've been very busy here as well. How about some tea? It's a special blend designed to relieve fatigue. Ah, lovely. Well, let's see now. Yes, yes. Hardly feel tired at all. Fiddler's a fiddle, your lordship. Ladyship. I mean. Would it be alright if we investigated the scene of the crime then? Do as you please. You know where it all happened. Through that door behind the counter. Yes, the storeroom. That's where I discovered Mr. Windibank and Gina. Right, well, I'll be getting back to business then. Will you be investigating in the storeroom as well, Inspector? If I'm perfectly honest, we need to wrap this up before long. Can't afford to spend too much time on it. But there's so many articles to go through, it's taken forever, even with the lads working around the clock. Which is a problem, because there's another case the Yard needs to investigate urgently. That must be what Lord Strongheart meant by far more serious matters before. So what I'm saying is, don't get out of my feet, sunshine. Come on then. Let us not waste any time. Alrighty. Ooh boy. Here's a bullet and bloodstain. Mr. Windibank wasn't practicing with his revolver in his spare time. Well, Mr. Sholmes liked to practice in his drawing room whenever he can. He's very patriotic like that. Sorry. It's all there in the adventures of Herlock Sholmes, you know. Isn't that right, Iris? Did I write something like that? Partly in jest, perhaps. In jest? Well, he doesn't do it often. It's quite a dangerous pastime. He doesn't do it often. He shouldn't even do it once. Forget that for now, Runo. Let's examine this bullet. What's around that bullet hole? Is it blood? A suspicious red stain on the calendar. I may well be able to help with that. There's nothing like the sight of blood to get the blood pumping, is there, Runo? If I have a feeling I'm not as bloody-minded as you, Iris. I'm afraid the sight of blood makes my blood run cold. There you have it, you see. When it comes to blood, we're all different types. What a scientific observation. So you need this? What is that scary-looking thing? Lily and I haven't actually come up with a name for it yet. But as soon as you see it in action, you'll understand what it does. Watch. The color has changed. I can already hear Cryptosporidium going, I'm not green. Does it all make sense now? I think I'm starting to understand. Good. It works on the principle that different people have different types of blood, you see. The chemical it fires combines with the blood and makes it change color. So you can identify whose blood it is you're looking at. In a flash! What a fabulous invention, Iris. Isn't it? Isn't it? I bet Ginny would say it's bleeding great. That's a horrible pun right now. Whose blood are we looking at then? Well, all the chemical does is turn the blood a different color, so just find someone whose blood turns the same color and you'll know who it belongs to. In a flash. It's more like 2 flashes, really, isn't it? 1 flash or 2, this could well turn out to be a very valuable clue. Time to make a note. As long as I have reagent left, sure. Alrighty. Makes you think when Mr. Sholmes gleefully showed it to us yesterday. We were blissfully unaware that any of this was about to happen. I'm fairly sure this contraption was here yesterday as well. Here we are, though not confident I can get it closed again. Oh yes, it's a folding stereoscope. Mr. Sholmes showed us a picture yesterday that you were supposed to be able to see in 3 dimensions. For that, he used a great big contraption over there. Oh, well, that's for use in public houses and places like that. It contains a carousel with all sorts of pictures inside. This little thing is a much simpler design for use at home. There are special shops selling print you can use in them. I have a little collection myself. I wonder if I could make money out of these in Japan. It'd beat keeping my toilet sparkling clean anyway. These shelves are where the pawnbroker put articles that have been forfeited on display for customers to buy. It's a strange miscellany, isn't it? I mean, who would buy this horse statue, for example? Someone who likes horses. Sometimes you can find junk among treasures, you know. I'll admit, that is true. I did actually find a really neat dragon statue at an antique place one time. It looks like it's made of purple crystal, actually. I'm not quite sure what it's made of. It could just be glass. Are you alright, Runa? Oh, it's just... well, it looks like a collection of useless junk as a whole, but when you pick out individual things, you can't help wishing you owned them. Even that horse statue. That's exactly how the pawnbrokers work. They're very clever. Alrighty. But I've never seen one as large as this in Japan. Oh well, this will be a treat. Shall we have a listen? What do you think? Isn't it a pretty sound? It's a beautiful sound, yes, but it's a little hard to enjoy when all the policemen in the room are giving you fierce looks. Never mind that. If any of them say anything, I'll tell Gregsy to have a word. Iris Wilson, Superintendent of Scotland Yard. There's the article ledger here, and Mr. Wendebank's notes, and it's another cat thing. Oh, show it us, Susie, show us. 15th February, 10:30 p.m. Deposited one gentleman's overcoat. Loan amount paid £1. Redemption deadline 15th of April, 10:30 p.m. A gentleman's overcoat pawned for £1. Clearly it was a very fine coat, in fact. I think this must be the ticket for the overcoat that Ginny redeemed yesterday, and is still wearing, which belonged to McGilwood. I never expected the redemption ticket to be handwritten on the back of a photograph, though. Seems Mr. Windebank just used whatever piece of paper he happened to have at hand. This photograph of a cat looks very familiar, doesn't it? I'm sure I've seen this exact same picture elsewhere recently. You're right, very recently. It's the same as the one Ginny gave us earlier. I was forgetting that she gave us that print. They're exactly the same. Not quite. Heh, I've got it. These two photographs hide an amazing secret. What does she mean? You must tell us, Iris, at once. Heh. Do you really want to know? We need you to tell us all you know about this pair of photographs. So, Iris, about these two photographic prints. The one we found here at Mr. Windebank's counter and the one Gina gave us before. Let me guess, they're a stereoscope. That's not quite right. If you look just carefully, the two prints aren't the same. Not exactly. But they're not. Have another look at them now. And you see that they're just slightly different from each other. I think so. It's very subtle, though. Well, what's the reason for the subtle differences between the two prints? Well, it's because they're a set, you see. The pair of photographs is meant to be used in a stereoscope. Everyone in London is raving about them at the moment. That's what he showed us yesterday, and that's what I can't use. There it is, just over there. Heh. Well, actually, it's quite possible to see the same depth in pictures even without using one of those contraptions. Do you know how a pair of flat photographic prints can appear to have any depth in the first place? I have no idea. Oh, wonderful. Then I'll be able to tell you. I, for one, simply have to know. Have you ever considered, Bruno, how our eyes see depth in the world around us? Well, I just open them, and it works. But the reason it works is because we have two eyes. Shocking. If you close just one eye at a time, I think you'll see straight away that what you see with your left eye and what you see with your right eye are ever so slightly different. You get a different view with each eye. The position of objects seems to shift slightly. And in your head, your brain uses that shift to estimate depth as it merges the two views into one. That's how we can use depth in everything we see. The brain really is amazing, isn't it? It does so much without telling me. I think I see. The pair of photographs consist of a left eye view and a right eye view. Is that right? Well done, Susie. You're so quick. So if you persuade your brain to merge the two together in your head, you'd be able to see depth in these prints. That's right, Bruno. You're beginning to understand. But, as long as you have two images, two eyes, and one brain, you can actually do it yourself, without needing a stereoscope at all. I can't do this, though, because I can't cross my eyes. Let's try it. Let's see if we can view this pair of prints without the help of a stereoscope. I already say I can't. You need to be able to cross your eyes, that's the main thing. I can't do that. I just can't. Hang on. I had to take a picture of that. I seriously had to. Yeah, well, I can't see the bridge of my nose with my eyes in real life. So I can't do that. Wow. Oh, yes! Mr. Naruto, it works. I can see it in the middle now. It looks so real. I could look at it all day. I wouldn't advise that. Your eyes might start to hurt. Your turn, Bruno. I can't do it. But it really is quite extraordinary. Speak for yourself. I can't do it today. It's certainly amazing, but it isn't easy to get the knack of viewing properly. No, some people find it easier than others. But that's why contraptions like this exist, for people who find it tricky. If I remember correctly, you press this little knob here, then set the pair of photographs in this stand at the back, and it's still amazing, even though I know roughly how it works now. Well, London seems to agree with you. Stereoscopes are very popular at the moment. You can find one of these folding contraptions in lots of households in the capital currently. And we'll figure that out next time.